Welcome back, everybody. This is Eric and Chad here with Iraq Veteran 8888. We've got another Gun Gripe episode for you today, and we're going to be talking about S3254, which is the companion bill to H5717. So this is the Senate version of 5717. They're very similar. We are going to get into it a little bit, and we want to provide hopefully a couple of updates in regards to what's going on. I would definitely like to take a moment to thank the kind folks at SDI for supporting Gun Gripes. They have some wonderful gunsmithing programs. I know some of you got your GI Bill you haven't used. They are a great resource for getting into the firearms technology realm and learning more about gunsmithing, reloading, all kind of cool things. Check them out. They're a great group of people, and we appreciate them allowing Gun Gripes to continue raw, unfiltered, definitely unfiltered. Sometimes I need a filter, but that's okay. In today's case, we don't have a filter. So we're going to continue unfiltered here. All right, so let's dive into this a little bit. The bare bones thing is this is a laundry list of gun infringements, okay? Second Amendment infringements. It's an entire laundry list.
The federal Gunpacalypse, as it is called.
Oh, boy, let me tell you. So this is one that's co-sponsored primarily by Elizabeth Warren.
Oh, I don't think... She doesn't have any co-sponsors yet.
This is just her.
She's flying solo on this one.
Okay, so this is a brainchild of Elizabeth Warren, and if you guys know, Elizabeth Warren was running in the Democrat... was running for president at one point as a Democrat, and she's now dropped out of the presidential race, and she's focusing, obviously, her efforts on other types of tyranny and any other level that she can. And in case you guys don't know, Elizabeth Warren is the one that was claiming to be Native American, and the running joke is, you know, she's Pocahontas and all that, but she ain't no more Native American than I am. But anyway, that's who we're talking about, is Elizabeth Warren. 5717 is a nasty piece of legislation, and the reason that we were worried about 5717 so much is primarily because that bill is introduced in the House, and we know that the House has Democrat control right now, and that makes it very scary to think that something can go, get assigned to a committee and then make it through that, and then get assigned to all the different areas it needs to get to assign to get all of its studies done, and then passes the House. That's just one level closer to getting it through. So obviously the House one is the one that we're concerned about the most, but there is a Senate version that's been introduced as well. So it's important that when you are contacting your representatives to, obviously express your disdain for this bill, that you also make sure that you greatly disapprove of the idea of 3254 gaining traction as well. So not only do you need to write your reps about 5717, but you need to express concern over 3254 and voice concern that you do not support either bill. They're basically a carbon copy of the same bill, just one is introduced in the Senate and one is introduced in the House. Mm-hmm. Confusing, I know, but they do it on purpose.
Oh, she does have some co-sponsors now.
Yeah, let's see who the co-sponsors are.
Let's see, let me pull it up. Oh, your internet is so slow.
Sorry. My internet is being handled by way of little gerbils inside of wheels. They're powering everything. So they're running on there, and that's what's powering it. So, yeah, it's a little slow.
Where are they at? Co-sponsors. Senator Edward Markey of Massachusetts. Senator Robert Menendez of New Jersey. Oh,
Cory Booker.
Oh,
man.
God. All right. Anyways, let's go back, Paige.
So basically, how to commit political suicide in 3, 2, 1, go. Like, that's literally what this is. The stuff that is being talked about in both of these bills is so heinous and so far-reaching that it's literally hard for me to wrap my mind around who really would even support something like this.
All right, so this is my thing with this sort of bill, like 5717 and like 3254. All right, so like Eric said, this is kind of a laundry list of anti-gun legislation all rolled into one. It's exactly that. There are several individual bills that have covered certain topics in this piece of legislation that have never made it even through committee to get to the floor of one of the chambers to be voted on. So they just decided to wrap it all into one. And this is at a time when the American populace is distracted by other things. I mean, we have the coronavirus thing going on right now and all the impeachment mess that happened a few months back, from the time of the filming of this video. So everyone's slightly distracted. So I think the main thing is, okay, let's just see if we can get this through while the American public is distracted. Sorry, but we're still paying attention.
Well, you say they're distracted. But are they really? Gun sales are at a record all-time high at the point that this video is being
that's
made.
just the thought. That's just
That's what they're thinking, but that's not what's really occurring, right? So they have this perception that America is somehow distracted from liberty, distracted from self-preservation, and nothing could be further from the truth. The NICS checks alone for the month of March totaled over, I want to say,
3.74
million NICS checks. That doesn't include how many more millions of people sold guns through private sales, or how many millions of people purchased a gun using a carry permit and not having to undergo a NICS background check.
Or how many people bought multiple firearms with one NICS check.
So these people have got their heads in the sand because they don't realize that self-preservation is not only on the forefront of people's thoughts, it is on the forefront of necessity of what people need to do. Folks are worried. They're scared that the government can't protect them. Now, we are conditioned as a society and as people to believe that the government should be there to protect us, that police will protect us, and everything like that. And while there are many well-mannered people out there that really would risk their life to protect you, I'm sure there's soldiers that risk their life for you. There's cops that would risk their life for you. The fact of the matter is they simply can't be everywhere when they're needed, where they're needed. And in some cases, many governors in various jurisdictions all across the United States have made statements that said, hey, we can't tie up police over petty crimes. Oh, well, what's a petty crime, may I ask? Oh, burglary, breaking and entering, petty theft. I mean, come on. These are crimes, right? And they're saying they're turning a blind eye to drug transactions or things like that. Don't get me started on the way I feel about the legality of drugs and whether or not there should be horrible laws against that. Anyway, I digress. I'm not going to get into that here because I am very liberty-minded, right? And I look at things just simple freedom. However, the point is they're not getting the police involved in things that normally the police would come running. So they've already shown that they don't have the resources to send a policeman out for every single call. There's many situations across the United States right now where large portions of the police force are actually out of work due to having the virus or having exposure to someone that had the virus. And now they're saying, oh, you need to take a furlough for a while because you might be sick. So there's people that are off the force that normally they would be manned up to a certain level. And across the United States, there are many, many police forces that even going into this were understaffed to begin with. And then you combine that with statements from the governors and mayors of various jurisdictions. And then you combine that with the fact that a lot of them are out with corona. And it provides a situation where, whether you like it or not, you are your first line of defense, and you might be your last line of defense. So this idea is more in the forefront than these people could ever imagine, and it shows just how disconnected from reality they are when they don't understand that people, even within their own political party, are jumping ship and becoming gun owners, whereby 6 months ago they were talking about how we were the devil and the worst people on planet Earth, and now they're asking us for advice what gun they should get. So it's a change in society for the better because people need to understand that you are your first and last line of defense.
I think all that could have been summed up into a word that these young whippersnappers are using these days here now. So these people are getting woke.
They are woke. But people like Cory Booker, people like
they are
Elizabeth
out of touch
Warren,
with reality.
People like AOC, all of those people are so far down that elitism and statism rabbit hole that they can't see what the world is really going through, and they can't relate to the common man's problems. Not only can they not relate, they don't want to relate. They simply want to just apply a Band-Aid to the situation in the form of infringement. So the statist view of doing things is, well, let's just infringe. And people associate the Republicans and the conservatives and this whole thing with being like the statist. Oh, you're a statist, blah, blah, blah. But really, honestly, when you look at the way the cookie crumbles, man, their side is way more guilty of being status than our side could ever be, because they want all of these crazy things. And when you look at this laundry list, it really is a vast, vast blanket of infringement. Sorry, right. I just had to say all that.
S3254, to end the epidemic of gun violence and build safer communities by strengthening federal firearms laws and supporting gun violence research, intervention, and prevention initiatives.
Yeah, and 3 million Democrats bought guns. So there you go. Yeah, that really tells you where their mind's at.
So this is very, very similar, almost like a copy and paste from the House legislation. But just to go over a few things, all right, so...
Super basic.
Firearms licensing. Okay, so you have to have a license to buy a gun like you do in some states. You got to have a FOID card to buy firearms. Universal background checks for private purchases, as well as the standard NICS checks at a gun shop. Okay,
which is completely unreasonable.
It is. 7-day waiting periods. Let's see.
Before you move on the waiting periods, can I mention something real quick? All right.
Oh, yeah.
This whole thing about waiting periods.
This is pretty funny.
So these people, here we have these Democrats submitting these bills, right? And they're wanting to infringe. And then on the same breath, you've got Democrats who have never owned a gun, and because they're afraid, and bless them, right? Like, I get it, man. Y'all want to protect yourselves. I get it. Please do it. But then in that same breath, they're complaining about how hard it is to get guns. Oh, they're in California and they've got a 10-day mandatory waiting period. Or the NICS system is down, so they have to wait 45 days for a background check to come out. And in that 45 days, you're without your money, you're without the gun, and you're not protected. The most important thing is you're not protected.
You mean I couldn't just go and buy this gun off over the counter?
People are upset because they think that you can just buy a gun and have it mailed straight to your door.
Look,
it's that easy, right?
That's that
easy, right?
Look, that's what they've been preaching for years. The gun show loophole. We need universal background checks because you can just go and buy a gun right over the counter.
But it shows you how far out of touch these people are with their constituents when they've got millions of their constituents buying guns and complaining about how hard it is, and they want to add even more rhetoric and even more red tape to buying a gun. Mm-hmm. It just shows how out of touch they are with average Americans.
So disconnected.
Sorry, just want to say that.
Disconnected is an understatement.
Disconnected is putting it politely.
Yeah. All right. So the biggest things. All right. They want to raise the minimum age for purchasing firearms and ammunition to 21. They want to mandate secure storage laws for every gun owner in the country. Okay. And let's see.
Yeah, they also want the storage requirements for FFLs to be greatly more difficult, which is going to make it harder for people to go into the gun business because of the strenuous and expensive measures it requires to get into the gun business. So it is by proxy a way that they can prevent people from getting into the gun business. So the whole point is for infringement. It's not for safety. It's to make the barrier of entry for a wider variety of people more difficult and more time consuming and more paperwork. So they're hoping that people will go, you know what, I thought about it and I actually don't even really need a gun that bad. So they're trying to disenfranchise gun owners and dealers.
Secure gun storage and safety devices for all firearms. Like, all right, so in some areas, you know, if you own firearms, they have to be locked in a safe, approved container that you have to purchase with your own money, okay, that you don't have a choice about, all right? They have to be separated from the ammunition. Each gun has to be individually locked, okay, inside of your secure storage container. So it's just these barriers to actually being able to use the tools at your disposal to do the job that you wanted them for, which is defend yourself. Okay, so
don't even get me started on the statements that Moms Demand Action made.
Wait. All right, They want to expand gun-free zones. Okay, so gun-free zones don't work as they are. Let's just expand them, and then magically they'll work. Correct? They want federal-level red flag laws in place. All right. Assault weapons ban. You guys know this. I mean, every semi-automatic firearm that you can imagine pretty much by see you later.
Pretty cut and paste from every previous ban.
Registration schemes, banning of suppressors. Okay. Let's see. Prohibition against multiple firearm sales. They want to limit the amount of firearms you could buy at one given time.
Or within a certain period.
Yes. Yeah. So like monthly rationing, you know, more or less than that. Eric mentioned, you know, like the gun shop, like dealer reforms and things like that.
Probably the most far-reaching bill of its type ever.
Yep. All right. Now, this is something that I mentioned in the other video was repeal of exclusion of pistols, revolvers, and other firearms from consumer product safety laws. So, with consumer product safety laws, you see like cribs or baby items, things like that are deemed unsafe, and they have a recall on them. Correct? Well, they could do the same thing with firearms. They could deem your revolver or your pistol consumer safety product, or a product that doesn't meet consumer safety standards, and they could recall your firearm, and you would have to send it back to the manufacturer because it's too dangerous for you to own. So that's where they're trying to rope that into.
Not to mention making it where they would love to make it to where gun companies can be sued.
Yep.
Over what happens with their products.
They want to remove the protection of lawful commerce and arms legislation. They want to totally repeal it to where firearms manufacturers can be sued
out of existence.
Yes. So they can be sued for the actions of criminals. And also they want to make some of these laws are in place too, especially around the world where they don't have the Second Amendment protections like we have here. But they want to make it to where if you have a gun stolen, you are responsible for what happens with that gun. So you are criminally liable for the actions of another person.
So basically, at a time when gun sales are at an all-time high, the highest they've ever been in our country, they want to submit gun control legislation. It shows you how out of touch they are.
And then the common, wasting of federal dollars, your money, and if you're a taxpayer, your money is going to be spent on community violence intervention grants and funding for research on firearms safety and gun violence prevention.
Well, that's a slush fund for something dang well.
It's the same bullcrap that we've seen on an individual basis, all wrapped into one giant, hard to swallow pill. And it's like, let's just wrap all this stuff together and try to see if it'll go through. Let's just try this one time.
It is literally the equivalent of throwing wet spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks. Like, seriously, these people honestly think that if they submit this all-encompassing bill with all of this heinous stuff in it, that somehow, at some point, they're going to be able to go to bat and work out some deal, right? And they know that they're going to hold some bill hostage, just like they did with the stimulus package. Okay, now this video has been made a considerable amount of time after we made the initial 5717 video. So now the stimulus package has been voted through. And I'll just quickly discuss this because I feel like it's in the vein of this video. Is all these earmarks that got put in on this bill. The Republicans went to play ball with the Democrats and said, okay, fine. The Democrats held the stimulus package hostage.
Is it earmarks or pork? I think it's pork.
Yeah.
Earmarks,
pork, slush fund, whatever you want to call it. I guarantee you that it don't cost no $40 million to renovate offices. Okay, now I get it. There's always going to be black projects, and there's always going to be funding for certain projects they have to have that's off the books. But that $40 million is a slush fund. And no matter how they spend it, we didn't get a raise. We got $40 million of indiscriminatory money that we can put in whatever slush fund project we want at a tune of $40 million. No matter how you cut it, a piece of cake is a piece of cake. And printing money out of nothing is highly irresponsible. Printing money with nothing to back it up is highly irresponsible. It's bad enough that we want to bail everybody out. Now, I understand people need help and they need to bail people out and they want to help. And it's in our nature to want to help. But it shouldn't have poison pills that we have to take along with it just because the Democrats want to play ball with your health and your well-being, right? So it just goes to show the type of people that you're dealing with. The people that are going, we're not going to do nothing until you do this. And that's why these bills get put forth, so that they're always on the table as a bargaining chip. And the reason they have these things sitting there is so that the next time an important piece of legislation that everyone goes, you know what, this really needs to go through. Americans need this support right now. People are out of work, they need these checks. Then the Democrats can go, well, I've got this right here we can add in and we'll sign whatever you want. And then that's when the Republicans go, well, you know what? We're not going to do all this because we're all going to get hung in the streets. So I'll tell you what, we'll give you this little portion. We'll give you that little portion. And see, they know that if that happens for long enough over a period of time, that eventually they chip away and it equates to the entire package in time. That's what it is. I mean, that's why they do that. So that when it comes time to make the deal, right, well, they still get some heinous thing put through that they know they're like, yeah, that's a win. And it just drives me nuts. all the pork added into that stimulus package is the exact same type of crap that is going to happen with these types of bills eventually.
It's like you see these
unless we stop voting for these dummies.
You see these bills go through, and then you see some of those add-ons, and like it's millions upon millions of dollars for gender studies and just random crap.
Slush funds.
What in the world is going on? What does that have anything to do?
Google slush fund, and you'll know exactly what this is all coming down to. It's all serving personal interests. It's all insider trading. It's all black projects, slush funds, elbow rubbing, and it's all the lobbyists. Okay, are causing an issue too.
Hey, let's not let a good tragedy go to waste.
I'm telling you, man.
Hey, we can use this opportunity to push through all the things that we haven't been to get through in the last decade.
I am telling you, man. It is all the financial incentives and lobbying that is poisoning the Hill at your expense. Mm-hmm. And if you stop voting these cowards in, this type of stuff will stop happening. So not only is that side of the political spectrum so out of touch with their voter base, but their voter base are finally starting to realize, well, wait a minute, we have more in common with these guys here that love freedom. Like, how hard is it to just love freedom and want to protect yourself, right? And we find those things that bring us together. We quickly start to see the folks that are trying to tear our country apart and are trying to do things that hurt America as a nation, and they hurt our national security, our sovereignty, and our security, our just personal security at a level of just being Joe Blow, you know?
Yeah. I mean,
sorry,
there's been a lot
of on a roll.
There's been a lot of research done in the past, 3 decades. You know, most Americans are really moderate people. You know, they're not really far right or far left. You know, most people they fall in the middle politically, you know, socially and economically and such. They're kind of middle ground. But these people have to get put into one side of the ring or the other. Unfortunately, because, you know, we live under the stupid two-party system, you know, with independents that, you know, libertarians that will never see the light of day. But I mean, Bernie Sanders was running as an independent. Look at him. I mean, he's a socialist.
And the libertarians are too busy arguing about who's most libertarian.
I mean, it's a sad state of affairs, you know, what this republic has become, you know, and but the majority of the people are just moderate people. You know, they want to protect themselves. They want to do things that they feel is necessary to defend themselves, their family, their communities, their country eventually, whatever the case might be. They want to be fiscally responsible. They don't want their tax money going to random bullcrap. They don't want to be taxed into oblivion.
They want to put what they want in their body and not be told what to do with their body. They want to love who they want to love and don't want anybody to tell them otherwise.
Yep.
And I don't see a problem with just simple liberty existing. How hard is it for people to just live the life they want to live, love who you want to love, do what you want with your body, do what you want with your money, you know, feel how you want to feel about society. It's okay for someone to say, hey, this is your culture and I accept it, right? I accept that you are what you are and it is simply cool for you to be you. You do you, man. That's cool. And there's a certain amount of society that just wants you to do you. Yep. But there's another aspect of each end of that extreme that goes, oh, you simply can't just accept. You must participate. And when you don't participate, it's like, screw you, you know, you're this, you're that, and it's the name calling, and it's all this. But there's a huge group of people that just want you to do you.
Mm-hmm. Everybody has an opinion, okay? And that opinion turns into, okay, well, I'm trying to instill my values on you, and if you don't accept my values, you're wrong. You can't have your opinion because my opinion is the only one that counts.
Right.
Opinion is just that. It's the way you feel about a particular subject or topic.
Yeah.
It's your opinion, your feeling on that. It doesn't mean that is the feeling that someone else has. I mean, people just can't have a civil discussion about things anymore. Everything gets so heated, and then emotions start, you know, getting fired up and stuff, and then all the emotional rhetoric gets thrown around, and it just turns into a mosh fest or something. I mean, just ridiculous.
Again, acceptance can't be enough. You must participate. and we've created this culture of you must participate. Everyone gets a participation trophy. But not only do you get a participation trophy, you must participate. Like, you don't get a choice. So and that becomes this do or die, or this put up or shut up type of society that, like he said, you know, it can't be enough that I just have my opinion. I must interject my opinion on others. violently, and that's how they look at the world, and it's scary, you know.
Well, circling back to something that Eric mentioned earlier in the video, one of the common arguments for gun control as a whole is, it's the police's job to protect you. The police will keep your community safe. We have the police out there with guns. They will provide your security. And we can see in today's in today's situation with all the crazy lockdowns and things like that are going on, jurisdictions saying the police are not going to come out for petty things like burglary, theft, non-violent domestic cases, things like that. They're not going to come out for that. So you are being told that the police are not going to protect you. So, wait a minute, but I thought the police were supposed to protect me because I supported you and your agenda and your anti-gun stance on things, and I didn't want to own guns because you said they were scary and the police are protecting me, but now the police are protecting me. So what am I supposed to do? I'm going to go buy a gun.
At the end of the day, it's still on you. The buck always falls on you.
Yeah,
at the end of the day.
Look, individuals are responsible for themselves. No one is responsible for your well-being except you. And the more people that get that in their heads, that responsibility is on an individual basis. No one else is responsible for you. The government isn't responsible for you. But too many people out there, especially young people, they want the government to be responsible for them because they're just lazy. And I know a bunch of these kids, and I know how they think. I'm like, y'all are out of your mind.
It's
like when I was your age,
It is very, very important that we fight these bills tooth and nail because these people are obviously out of touch with reality. They're out of touch with their voter base. And it's important that not only we call our representatives and complain and make sure that they know that we do not agree with either the House or Senate version of these bills, but we also need to vote accordingly. If this makes you angry, and if you're like, well, I want to protect myself, that sounds like a cool idea. I want to be that guy. I want to be protected. Then welcome to the fold. I mean, vote accordingly. If these people have a history of voting in these horrible things and wanting to submit these horrible bills, then don't vote them in. Like, all these people complain about, I'm an implant from California. I moved from California over to Georgia or wherever state, that's a free state because I wanted to escape the rhetoric. But then they vote in the rhetoric. They vote that way and they bring their voting record with them. And it just creates the place that they go to and makes it the same as where they left. So unless we change our attitude about voting in people, right, it's never going to change. And honestly, I usually vote for the newcomer. The incumbent is the person that is the runner-up who's voting against.
No, the incumbent. The incumbent.
What do those terms mean again?
So the incumbent is the person who already is holding the office.
And what do they call the guy who's challenging him?
Challenger.
Okay. Yeah. Well, whatever that is, right? I usually vote for the new runner-up, the guy that's trying to come in. Like I look at his, at his campaign promises, and I go off of like what that person is trying to do. And then I go, you know what? I want to try to get new blood in there because the problem is we get these politicians in and they become career politicians and they get voted in over and over and over again. Like Pelosi's been in government for 40 some odd years or some crazy crap like that. You get involved in the government at such a deep level and you become a career politician, it becomes about you and your power and not about serving the people. So unless we can vote accordingly and vote these freaking dicks out of here, we're not going to get into a situation where we're going to be able to push back against the transgressions that have occurred against our rights.
There's a lot of people out there who have talked about it over the years about term limits. Okay, we need legislation to limit the amount of time that a given representative can spend in office. We don't need career politicians, okay, making a livelihood off of basically selling out their people. Because that's what a lot of these politicians do. I mean, they say one thing, they do another. There's a lot of dishonesty on Capitol Hill, and I think more and more people are starting to see it, especially in today's age with the way that information disseminates through social media. You got to watch out for fake news, but there's a lot of information that spreads really quick. I mean, if a politician says something really dumb, it's going to be viral in an hour, and it's going to be spread all over the place. More people have access to what's going on Capitol Hill today than ever before. I mean, when we were growing up, if you wanted to see what was going on Capitol Hill, you had to watch C-SPAN. Okay? I mean, and who wanted to watch C-SPAN? You know,
It is certainly a situation where we have a supercomputer in our hands now, and that spread of information is super, super quick and usually pretty spot on, right? And I think it's really important that people realize that each other, like us as people, is way more important paradigm shift that can do so much better things than just a small group of people that we're allowing to control us from the Hill, right? You know, you vote these people in thinking that they're going to represent your interest. When they don't, you need to vote them out.
Yep.
And that's what causes stuff like this to happen. So guys, contact your reps, oppose both these bills. Please do it. We wanted to provide a bit of an update. But guys, you got to vote accordingly too. It's important that we really fight these states' battles super hard. We've done videos in the past where we've talked about how important the states' battles are. It's really important that we fight those battles hard, and you get out and you vote accordingly, and you try to vote in good people that are going to keep your best interests in mind. So
that's about it.
Yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching today. We appreciate it. I want to thank all the folks who purchased man cans, t-shirts over on Ballistic Ink, as well as supporting us on Patreon with donations. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for seeing value in what we do. We really appreciate the support. Many more videos on the way, guys. We are trying to do as many videos on legislative type stuff as we can. We can't keep up with everything that's going on all the time. We're trying our best. But we try our best to do specific videos on these bills as often as we can get to them. So thank you for seeing value in what we do and supporting us, and we'll see you next time. Many more videos on the way.
See you guys.